G'day there guys, makes way more excuses than money here. Back at it again with another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you loved today's video, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and enjoy this bloody good content. Posted by user Mix of Races, titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my obese friend that she should eat less? I'm 17, quite slim, although I don't think I'm underweight, 110 pounds, 5'5", and I have a friend who's 19 who is quite obese. Now, I never made any comments about her body as it can come off as offensive, plus I hate it when people comment about mine. However, for the past couple of weeks she's been making small comments here and there about how lucky it is to be skinny, complaining about not having the ideal body shape, and how my cherries are so small, it must be so easy for me. One time, she also bought a shirt I picked out because I didn't have enough cleavage to look good in that style. Well, yesterday, while we were eating lunch with a bunch of friends, her friends, I don't really know them but I don't mind their company, she told me jokingly that I should eat more so that men can tell that I'm a woman and not a kid. She laughed and some of her friends did too. However, the others looked a bit uneasy. I felt really embarrassed and angry since I find it hard to gain weight and have taken years to actually like the way that I look. So I told her that she should eat less and stop pushing your insecurities onto me just because you don't like that you're obese. She then yelled about how rude and inconsiderate I was to be body shaming her and that I can F right off since men prefer curvy women anyways. To which I said, not with that crappy attitude they don't, before paying for my dish and walking out. Now I'm getting text messages all over the place saying that I shouldn't body shame other people and spread hate after she posted on her social media crying. I don't think I'm the a-hole here, but I could be, so am I? Edit, I checked my weight after some concerning comments and found out I actually gained weight. Although it's still unhealthy, it's something. I did tell her to cut it out most of the time. The other times, I just grew silent and left. And I know what obesity is. Just because I'm underweight doesn't mean I see bigger people as obese. I think everyone's done wrong by each other here, and this is a situation where they've let this continue to fester for a long time and not addressed it, maybe just been passive-aggressive with each other over time. I think that both of their actions are wrong, but I can understand where it comes from because if you build that up so long, you just let emotions fly. The obese friend was in the wrong for starting it, and OP was in the wrong for body shaming her when she was body shamed herself. But everyone seemed to dogpile on OP when she was body shamed first, which doesn't make any sense to me and makes the friend the bigger a-hole than OP in this scenario. So it's everyone sucks here, leaning on I'm siding with OP. Everyone sucks here. You both body shamed each other and are just tearing each other down. Next time, don't give her ammunition for her fire, OP. Even though everything you did say was spot on, she's definitely projecting her insecurities on you. The higher road will always get you closer to the top though. I agree, but I found that in some cases, turning the other cheek is just giving them a new cheek to punch. Sometimes you can take the higher road, but in doing so, you excuse their crappiness. Times like these, I'd have thrown it right back in their face and said, don't dish what you're not ready to take. Very rare occasions though. Well, it also depends on the relationship you want to hold with people. I have a coworker who is unfortunately rather obese. I don't get involved because it's not my life and everyone is on their own journey, but the rather bitter comments I get about my own weight can be rather trying. She tells me I need to relax or loosen up more when I have a salad or decline the office snacks, and rolls her eyes at my going to the gym in the middle of the day. On the other hand, she also throws out remarks about how I'm so lucky with genetics, and my weight and fitness just magically sort themselves out, unlike hers. Outside of relatively limited interactions regarding food and fitness though, she's rather pleasant and a good worker. I also know that everyone else thinks the whole thing is ridiculous on her part, and it all just makes me feel sad rather than offended. In an office context when everything else is fine and not impacting me, I'm not willing to invest the political capital or energy to fight this. If she was a friend and I wanted her to be more considerate, I would probably be reacting differently. But she's just a less than ideal coworker, and those are a dime a dozen. I'll pick my battles. So this kind of thinking I find very frustrating about this subreddit. People think that your only two choices are remaining completely silent or stooping to their level. But the real answer is to stand up for yourself without doing exactly what you don't like them doing. In this example, she could have said something like, "This is my body, and I don't appreciate you making comments about it. It's not up for discussion or criticism. Your words hurt, and if you continue making those comments, I'll reconsider our friendship." She literally doesn't have to say one word about the other girl's body. Sometimes you have to, in my opinion, because it shows them your perspective of their behavior. I don't advocate for stooping to their level, but I do advocate a good slap in the face with reality. Some people don't get it if you try to articulate how it makes you feel, and clearly that was the case with OP. So you show them how much it sucks to be on the receiving end. That's all. Not the a-hole. Your response was perfect, it was concise, and you hit the nail on the head. She's just reacting this way because you're likely right about her intentions behind nitpicking your weight. This exact scenario is why I hate the song All About That Bass, because it puts one body type, being skinny, down to uplift another, curvy and chunky, which is not cool. Anyway, your friend is seemingly quite insecure. If you want to salvage this friendship, I would advise waiting a bit before engaging her in conversation. Posted by user ConfusedDad7181, titled, "Am I the a-hole for giving my daughter $100,000 for a house and not giving my son anything?" I know the title sounds bad, but please hear me out. I, 55 male, have two kids, Anna, 30 female, and Alex, 27 male. Their mum isn't in the picture. I have a relatively high-earning job, so I was able to save up for the both of them to go to college, which amounted to $100,000 for each kid. The thing is, Anna got a full scholarship for college, where both her tuition fees and living expenses were paid for, but I had to pay for my son's education and living expenses with the money I saved up. Both my children knew I had $100,000 for their college education, but since my daughter got a full ride, I told her I'd hold on to it until she either wants to use it for her wedding or a down payment for a house. So last week, Anna asked for the money to buy a house, and I gladly gave it to her. But a few days later, I got an angry call from Alex, accusing me of favoritism and how I'm being unfair. I explained to him that I just gave her the college fund I was saving up for her, which was the same amount as what I've given him for college. He still thinks I should have split the money evenly so it would be more fair. I have no idea how he knew about it, but I think my wife, their stepmom, told him. Anna has since told me that her brother has been calling her every now and then, demanding his half of the money. So both of my kids are fighting now. My wife told me that I'm being a bit unfair, and that the money is tearing the family apart. I told her that it was always Anna's money, and I already gave Alex his share to pay for his college expenses. Both kids are college educated with good jobs, so it's not like Alex desperately needs the money. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? I think that splitting the money would have been very unfair to Anna, who worked hard to get her scholarship. But what do you guys think? Edit, I spent a bit over $100,000 on Alex's education because not only did I pay for his tuition fees, but I also paid for his rent, bills, food, and everything in between. No, Alex got way more than his own free ride through college. Jesus Christ. You paid for everything for that kid and now he's asking for $50,000 on top of that? Talk about entitlement. Alex can honestly go screw himself with a rusty nail. It's honestly disgusting how much of his brain has been torn apart by money because it's obvious that the bloody shopping center is open but no one's shopping. Slap Alex down to reality, get him to see that it's not his money, and move on. Cut him out of the family if he needs to. What a bloody baby, Alex. No. OP, you're not the a-hole. Alex sucks. Not the a-hole. In theory, your son could have $100,000 to spend on his house too if he had gotten a scholarship. He sounds like he's got an entitlement problem, which is unfortunate because you did a lot to set him up nicely in life. My mum didn't even get me a wedding present because she couldn't afford it, and I don't even care because she did a good job at raising me and providing for me. It's a shame your son doesn't realize how good he has it. To extend on that, the son is $100,000 ahead on where he should be without having his college paid for. He doesn't have that debt, So any earnings now can go towards, for example, a house, rather than student loans. Totally true. I think it's so much easier for people to see the value in money that they can spend, aka Anna receiving $100,000 for her house, than money saved that they didn't have to spend, Alex's $100,000 towards college, because the former gives someone control and discretionary power over where the money goes. So it's more than satisfying. I think it's hard because some schools don't give full rides. Some kids just excel more in school, even if they're equally as smart. And obviously, it's frustrating to see your sibling get a boatload of money and you feel like you didn't get the same. I think I'd feel upset if I were Alex, but in the end, he got his money and came out debt-free. And this guy is totally not the a-hole. Posted by user Middle Brother Throwaway 12, titled, "Would I be the a-hole if I drove 400 miles to confront my older brother?" I am one of 4 siblings, 2 boys and 2 girls. We are all between 30 to 42 years old, and 3 of us are married, except for our one middle brother. Middle brother has always had problems in school and socially, and when he got older, it was being able to keep a job and pay his bills. Our mother would always guilt the rest of us into taking care of our middle brother financially once we all moved away. We all agreed to equally contribute so the burden wouldn't fall to our parents who wanted to retire. Our oldest brother always hated this idea and resented middle brother for being able to get away with being lazy his whole life, and blames our mother for lowering the expectations for this one sibling and always calling him her sweet, sensitive boy. The rest of us were never able to get away with the same things the middle brother did, especially older brother, who had to do everything for him growing up. About a year ago, my sister and I stopped equally contributing to the middle brother due to financial difficulties, but didn't tell our oldest brother. He and his wife make significantly more money than us, and figured it wouldn't make any difference financially to them, and didn't want a middle brother to get literally nothing. Anyway, during a family Zoom call, our mother casually brings up that her sweet, sensitive boy needs more help than he's been given from his family, and it came out that the older brother is the only one paying, and he blew a gasket. He called us opportunists, liars, con artists, and a lot of other things, and finally said "screw you people" and got off the call, and hasn't spoken to any of us since, not even our parents. He's missed 2 payments, and the middle brother is freaking out. My parents and I tried reaching out to his wife because middle brother will be kicked out of his apartment soon unless we pay. She makes as much money as older brother, if not more, and can easily pay, but refused. She called us lazy for even asking to go against her husband like that. Now she's stopped taking our calls. We're out of options and are considering driving the 3 states away to confront our older brother into helping his family. My own husband thinks this is a bad idea, and that we should just let the middle brother sink or swim at this point. Before you ask, middle brother was tested extensively years ago and found that he was neurological typical, but sensitive. Hence my mother's nickname. Would I be the a-hole if I drove all the way to physically confront older brother? Yes, you're actually worse than your enabler mother if you go after your older brother. His middle brother is not his fault. It's not his responsibility. You're so stupid. You're actually brain dead if that's what you think is going to solve this situation. You even asked the middle brother's wife if she makes enough to support herself, and she said yes, and that, if she wanted to, she would be able to pay all this off herself, or with the middle brother's help, but she would rather the older brother and you guys pay for them? Are we not seeing the bigger picture here? Are we not in reality? Obviously you're the a-hole if you drove to the brother's house, you idiot. Edit 1. Middle brother did have a job before all of the COVID closings, but it was part-time and never enough for both rent and essentials. 2. I misspoke by saying confront. I was really going there to plead for older brother's help. 3. It turns out to be a bigger deal than I thought, because unbeknownst to me, older brother had also been partly paying our parents' mortgage and our other sister's student loans, and has stopped as of July out of spite. I guess my older brother doesn't care what happens to the rest of us as long as he and his wife are doing okay. I am the a-hole for lying and I accept that, but not for trying to help my middle brother survive when our older brother is fully capable of helping his family. Just unwilling. Last edit, I'll be honest, almost 1,000 people telling me how fudging terrible me and my whole family are is both overwhelming and untrue. It's not like we put a gun to our older brother's head and he fully volunteered to help our parents with their mortgage since they did pay for his college. So I stand by that being 100% spiteful bullcrap. As for my other brother and sister, they can pay their own way. I agree that it's unnecessary. The last thing I'll say, and I know it doesn't matter because everyone's mind is made up, is that if the situation was reversed, I'd be happy to help my family if I had more money than everyone else. But maybe that's just me. Actual final edit, I am the a-hole. I get it. My brother and his wife aren't on Reddit, so they hopefully won't see this. Knowing him, he'd want to defend me because that's the type of brother he is, and I know I wouldn't deserve it. Thanks to everyone for your truthful take, even though it was hard to read. I will work on composing a heartfelt apology in the hopes he will forgive all of us one day. He really is a good brother. You're the a-hole for stopping payments without telling your older brother. I would be pretty ticked too if I was in your brother's shoes. I don't think driving out to confront your older brother in person is a good idea. Not only because the pandemic is happening, but also because you'd be turning up unannounced at his house to confront him. Just out of curiosity, why can't your middle brother get a job and support himself? You said nothing's wrong with him. What does he do all day? And why can't he live with your parents if he doesn't want to work? Mummy thinks he's sensitive, and she's enlisted all of his siblings into being his enablers. Tough crap for him. I don't know why any of you gave him money. I sure wouldn't have. Tell Mr. Sensitive to get a damn job. I agree. I was going to say you're the a-hole for agreeing to help middle brother in the first place and letting him become financially dependent on his family for so long. A little help here and there isn't a problem, but you're literally paying all his bills for him. That's not okay. According to OP's edits, the older brother was supporting everybody, paying their parents' mortgage, paying for virtually everything for the middle brother, paying off one sister's student loans. They're all grifters, and the brother will be better off after cutting everyone off. How insanely toxic. The lot are all massive a-holes, all except for the oldest brother. God, I love when an edit makes everything worse. Good for the older brother for finally standing up to his family. OP said if the tables were turned, they wouldn't hesitate to help their family, but they had the opportunity to help their brothers, yet stopped the payments for one and lied to the other. Gotta love those. If I were in X's shoes, I'd gladly be and definitely be helping, because everyone around knows that's a lie that gets told to guilt the other person, and you're lying to yourself to make you feel above it all. You're the a-hole for not telling your older brother. I'm completely on his side. Also, I would have never agreed to support a lazy-ass adult. That's why he is the way he is. You all enable him. He's got it good, so why change? Your brother is totally justified. Posted by user Snoo75036, titled, Am I the a-hole for asking my daughter to contribute to her siblings' college funds? I, 50 female, have 3 children, 30 female, 17 male, and 16 female. My oldest has a different father from the other 2, and was obviously fairly grown once her siblings were born. I will admit that, during her teen years, my oldest took on a lot of babysitting duties in the house. I worked during the afternoons and evenings, so she would pick the babies up from daycare and watch them until I got home at night. This, unfortunately, has led to my daughter and I having somewhat of a strained relationship as she's become an adult. She has told me that I used her as a second parent, and that it caused her a lot of stress and stunted her social life during adolescence. I know that I made mistakes as a mother during that time. We were struggling financially, and she always seemed eager to help with the babies, but I shouldn't have taken advantage of her like that. We've discussed it a lot in the years since, and though we still have problems between us, I like to think our relationship has made progress. Since graduating college, my daughter has become a financial consultant with an excellent salary. I'm incredibly proud of her and everything she's achieved. As someone who myself never attended college, and who has lived near the poverty line my entire life, it's so rewarding to see my daughter move up in the world. As my younger 2 children have been approaching college, however, I've been beginning to question how I'm possibly going to pay to put them through school. In all likelihood, they'll have to take out heavy student loans. I'd like to avoid this if at all possible, and we all know how damaging student debt can be to young people. I approached my oldest and asked her whether she might be willing to contribute somewhat to her siblings' tuition. I emphasized that she could absolutely say no, or we could discuss the possibility of us paying her back over a period of years. I said multiple times that I was only asking because I wanted to consider all options, but if she wasn't comfortable with it, I would drop it and look for alternatives. My daughter became very upset with me. She said that it was entirely inappropriate for me to ask, and that the only reason I would ever consider asking is because I've always considered her a second parent rather than a child. She said that my asking her for this has shown her that I've never learned from my parenting mistakes when she was a teenager. But I really don't think it's the same thing. Like, honestly, she's rich. She has the money. I don't think it's absurd that I might ask her if she's willing to do me a favor for the sake of her siblings, especially since I made it very clear I wouldn't be angry or upset if she said no. Thoughts? Edit, I put this in a comment, but since a couple of people have asked about either my children's father or how my oldest paid for school. My oldest was put through school by her father. He lives across the country and would visit occasionally when she was growing up, though he never had custody. He offered to pay for her schooling as a sort of apology for not being more present when she was young. I don't see him, but they have some amount of contact nowadays. The younger two have the same father. He ran off just after my youngest was born. Haven't heard anything from him since, and I couldn't tell you where he might be right now. The younger two's father just straight up ran off. You never chased him for child support. You never got anyone else to help babysit. You never looked for another partner to help raise the kids with you by the looks of it. It really does seem like you just offloaded all the responsibility onto your oldest child. And for some reason we're supposed to feel sympathy because the oldest was put through school by her father, who you refused to have a relationship with? And then, the oldest daughter says it to your face that you have not learned from your mistakes and that this is a real dick move to do. I don't think there's any, plane of existence that exists out there where you're not the a-hole in this situation. You're a terrible parent, I'm sorry to say. That's just terrible all around. I understand you might have been trying your best, but dear Lord, it doesn't sound like you tried to make any compromise. You're the a-hole. You admit yourself that you took advantage of your daughter when she was younger, and now have the goal to ask her to be a parent to her siblings again? She's right. You asking was extremely inappropriate. I agree, and I want to piggyback to comment on a particular statement that was made. I just have no idea how I'm going to put the other two through college. Since she didn't put the first kid through college, she's not really expected to do the same for her other children, especially if it isn't financially possible. If she truly lives near the poverty line, then FAFSA will pay for them to attend community college and have the chance to compete for scholarships at schools that provide excellent financial aid packages. Obviously, that isn't as easy as having daddy pay for college, and they might feel like they deserve to go somewhere else. But that's tough toenails, to be honest. If they don't earn scholarships from their high school performance, then community college will give them a second chance. I know this because I lived and am living it right now. My parents have never been able to give me a dime towards my college education, and the government says they can't be expected to help at all based on their analysis of FAFSA. My Pell Grant paid for me to attend community college and completely covered the costs. I graduated from there after 5 years of on and off study, took a lot of time off for work and some moving around the country, with a lot of extracurricular stuff I never got to do in high school. Now I'm transferring to an amazing school that really is, quite literally, my only option financially. The cheapest state school tuition would cost me $25,000 a year in loans after scholarships and aid, which is well beyond what I can afford to take out. The school I was accepted to will only cost me $11,000 per year after scholarships and aid, which is well within the amount I can be loaned by the federal government directly and not have to take on predatory Sallie Mae type loans. While it might not be the most ideal route, and for a long time I didn't know if I would even make it to where I am now, it is completely and totally possible. There are hundreds of thousands of students doing it just like I am. With attention paid to what's going on and proper motivation, a poor student can finish their degree in the US without taking on extreme debt. The issue is that many people want to jump right into an expensive university after high school because it's the normal thing to do. That mentality is what eats some people alive with debt before they've even hit the age of 20. OP, the onus is on your kids to earn their education. The only thing you're expected to do if you can't financially contribute is support them as best you can. And trust me, that should be more than enough. You're the a-hole summed up by 2 sentences. Like, honestly, she's rich. She has the money. You used her as a second parent and now want her to pay for their college so they don't have the burden of student loans, and because she's rich, it's not a favor. To ask someone to drop tens of thousands on college for kids that they're barely related to, the more I read it, the more your post and attitude towards your daughter disgusts me. Posted by user SassyMumX3, titled, Am I the a-hole for publicly shaming my husband for how he treats our son? My husband and I have 3 children together. They are 9 female, 7 female, and 4 male. For the most part, my husband is a loving father, and he absolutely dotes on our girls. Our son is another story. He is very sensory sensitive, and the littlest of things can set him off, like a scratchy shirt tag or an extreme temperature. I have tried to educate myself on sensory issues and make accommodations for him, but my husband is not willing to do so. He thinks that I baby him and enable his bad behavior. There have been times my husband has insisted that I force our son to stay outside despite his obvious discomfort in the heat, or make him take his shoes off at the beach even though sand overwhelms him. Both times resulted in total meltdowns. Last weekend, we took a family trip and it was a last straw. My husband had our girls in the pool and he was tossing them in. They were laughing and having a good time. My son was in the shallow end with just his lower legs in the water, and my husband thought it would be funny to sneak up behind him and push him into the water. He was wearing a life vest, but the sudden feeling of his head going underwater and his hair becoming wet was too much for him. He was wailing and I had to get him out of the pool. He had a complete meltdown that lasted over 30 minutes. I took him back to the hotel room to calm him down, and my husband told me I shouldn't have done that. He said that he will never toughen up and stop being a baby if I keep running to his rescue. He yelled at our son for embarrassing him at the pool and refused to allow him ice cream later on with the girls. I was furious at his behavior, so I got on Facebook and ranted about all the times our husband has favored the girls and made our son feel unloved. Now his mother and sisters are mad at him, and he's ticked off at me for putting our private life on Facebook. Am I the a-hole for publicly shaming my husband on Facebook for how he treats our son? Normally, I would be against airing dirty laundry online, especially when it could just be smaller, normal things that can be, settled privately. But this is pretty much straight up abuse to the son. And wouldn't that father's immediate family at least deserve to know that he is abusing his own son emotionally, physically, psychologically, like in every way it seems like? It seems like this marriage between the two, or this relationship, is really on the rocks, and the father refuses to stop hurting his son. I think it is a dick move to put it online to publicly shame him, but I'm not completely against it. And I do think that it needs to be called out, because maybe that will teach him faster. Everyone sucks here. Your son needs a therapist, your husband needs a therapist, and to stop bullying a 4-year-old, but literally blasting your family on Facebook? Yeah, you're an a-hole too. My 31-year-old son is very similar sounding. Therapy might help, but acceptance for who he is will certainly do more. Of course, which is why I included the husband in there. Therapy is more important in treating sensory processing disorders, especially ones that come with challenging behaviors. Starting young is ideal because they can work on desensitization where appropriate, and his manding, requesting and refusal skills. A lot of these therapies also train parents, so everyone would benefit. OP, everyone is human and we all mess up. Just keep doing what is best for your family. I know you mean well. 25 or so years ago, when our son was first demonstrating these tendencies and issues, there wasn't a lot of specialized therapy available. Raising him had its challenges, but we set looser boundaries than we might have otherwise and let him be him. High school was the worst though, but college was better. He hit his stride at about 25 or so, and now he's happy, married, and making a mark everyone is proud of. Thankfully, it never once occurred to me to force him to do it my way. The father sounds like an absolute jag. Opie, please look into occupational therapy for your son. An OT will teach him how to do activities of daily living with his sensory issues. He definitely needs this as he goes to preschool, and it would be super helpful for the schools to know what accommodations he would require. Also, I will go against the grain here, but your husband needs some education on sensory issues. If this was my husband, I would name and shame him too, because sometimes naming and shaming is the only way to teach stubborn and ignorant people, even if it is super cringeworthy. I cannot imagine a parent who is insensitive to their son's disability, not the a-hole. ETA, for someone who is a father to 3 kids, you should be able to find out when your kid is genuinely struggling versus when your kid is doing drama. It is not possible for someone to do drama 24/7, so it is very easy to put 2 and 2 together to find out that your son actually has a problem. Everyone sucks here. Your husband is abusing a neurodivergent child, and you're going to Facebook about it instead of a therapist and a divorce lawyer. If your husband cannot get his crap all the way together and work on repairing the damage he's done to his relationship with his son, as well as educate himself and radically change his behavior right fudging now, you need to leave. This definitely should be the top comment. Her husband is the biggest a-hole here. He's obviously ignorant and unaccepting, and overall caring more about good behavior than his son's mental health. On the other hand, Opie's heart is in the right place, but what is she getting out of airing her dirty laundry? All it does is create more drama. It's not going to make him change his ways. She sounds like she's desperate, and it sounds like this has been going on for some time. She was probably hoping for some people to back her up and to show him that everyone thinks he's in the wrong. Pushing their son into the pool was probably the last straw due to how monumentally dangerous it is. My mum always told us to never do that. She said even with floaties or a life jacket on, we can break people's bones or they could hit their head. Alright, and I think that's where we're going to leave today's episode, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed the content today. If you guys loved watching it as much as I loved making it, I would love for you to subscribe to the channel already if you haven't. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below, maybe like the video, who knows. I'd also like to take this time to thank my awesome Patreon and channel members. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably be homeless on the streets of Ireland, crying, Irish dancing all over town. It would just be a mess. But no, for real, you guys are up on the screen now. Thank each and every one of you guys. And if you personally want to join the club yourself, there are links down in the description below. There's also the join button next to the subscribe button. Small monthly fee, but hey, it goes a long way to help me create more awesome content. Well, with that said, guys, I hope you do have a lovely day, night, sleep, evening, day at work, day at school, whatever you're up to. I hope you keep awesome today. You're looking amazing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.